The one you had to walk away from to survive. Stay with me, because this story will break you, heal you, and leave you questioning every choice you've ever made about love. And before we begin, if stories like this move you, hit subscribe now, because the next one might just feel like your own life unfolding. It began on a rainy evening in London, the kind where the streets glisten like broken glass and every reflection feels like a memory trying to surface. Amelia stood beneath a flickering street lamp, clutching her coat tighter around her as if it could shield her from more than just the cold. Across the street, through the fogged window of a small cafe, she saw him, Daniel, laughing softly, his hand wrapped around a cup of coffee, his eyes crinkling in that familiar way that once felt like home. For a moment, time collapsed. Years of distance, of silence, of pain, they all dissolved into a single heartbeat. But then she noticed the woman sitting across from him, leaning in, smiling like she belonged in that space where Amelia once existed. And just like that, the past came rushing back, not as warmth, but as a storm. Amelia turned away before he could see her. She had promised herself she would never go back, never reopen the wounds that had taken everything to close. But memories are cruel, they don't ask for permission. They arrive uninvited, replaying moments you wish you could forget. She walked aimlessly through the rain, her mind drifting back to the beginning, to a time when love felt like the safest place in the world. They had met in New York, in a bookstore tucked between a bakery and a laundromat. Daniel had been reaching for the same book as her, their hands brushing in that cliché way neither of them believed in, until it happened to them. He smiled, she laughed, and something unspoken passed between them, something neither could explain but both immediately felt. It wasn't dramatic or overwhelming, it was quiet, steady, like a melody you don't realize you've been humming your whole life. Their love grew in small, meaningful ways. Late night walks through Central Park, conversations that stretched until sunrise, the comfort of simply existing in each other's presence. Daniel had a way of making Amelia feel seen, not just for who she was, but for who she was afraid to become. And she, in turn, grounded him, gave him a sense of purpose he had been searching for without knowing it. But love, as they would learn, is not always enough. The first crack appeared subtly. Daniel began working longer hours, chasing a promotion he insisted would secure their future. Amelia supported him at first, believing in his ambition, trusting that their bond was strong enough to withstand the distance. But days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, and slowly, the space between them grew, not just physically, but emotionally. Conversations became shorter, silences longer. The laughter that once filled their home was replaced by a quiet tension neither knew how to address. Amelia tried. She really did. She planned dinners, left notes, made an effort to reconnect. But Daniel was always tired, always distracted, always somewhere else even when he was right in front of her. And one night, after yet another cancelled plan, she finally asked the question she had been avoiding. "Are you still in this with me?" Daniel hesitated. Just for a second. But sometimes, a second is all it takes to change everything. "I don't know," he admitted. Those 3 words shattered something inside her. Not because he said them, but because she knew he meant them. From that moment on, everything shifted. They tried to fix it, of course. Counseling, promises, late-night arguments that ended in exhausted silence. But the truth was, they were no longer moving in the same direction. Daniel was chasing something Amelia couldn't follow, and Amelia was holding onto something Daniel had already begun to let go of. The breaking point came on a quiet Sunday morning. No yelling, no dramatic confrontation, just a calm, devastating realization. "I think we're hurting each other more by staying," Amelia said softly. Daniel looked at her, his eyes filled with something that might have been regret, or relief. "Maybe you're right." And just like that, it was over. No grand goodbye. No last kiss. Just 2 people who once loved each other deeply, choosing to walk away. Amelia moved to London shortly after, determined to start over. She built a new life, one that didn't revolve around Daniel or the memories they shared. It wasn't easy. There were nights when the loneliness felt unbearable, when she questioned whether she had made the right choice. But slowly, she began to heal. She rediscovered parts of herself she had lost, found strength in her independence, and learned that being alone didn't mean being incomplete. And then, years later, she saw him again. Standing outside that cafe, Watching him laugh with someone else, she felt a mix of emotions she couldn't quite untangle. There was pain, yes, but also acceptance. Because in that moment, she realized something important. Daniel hadn't been the wrong person. He had just been the right person at the wrong time. The rain had stopped by then, leaving the city quiet and still. Amelia took a deep breath, her heart steady in a way it hadn't been before. She didn't go back to the cafe. She didn't interrupt his life or try to rewrite the past. Instead, she turned and walked away, not out of fear, not out of anger, but out of understanding. Because sometimes, love isn't about holding on. Sometimes, it's about knowing when to let go. As she walked down the street, the weight she had carried for so long finally began to lift. She thought about everything she had been through, the love, the heartbreak, the healing, and realized that it had all led her to this moment. A moment where she could look back without regret, where she could appreciate what they had without wishing it had lasted forever. And in that quiet clarity, she smiled. Because she finally understood. Walking away hadn't been the end of her story. It had been the beginning. If this story touched something inside you, if you've ever had to walk away from someone you loved, then you already know how strong that makes you. Share your story in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Because sometimes, the stories we tell are the ones that help us heal.